I really like the story of Romulus and Remus. I think it's quite funny. I think it's funny that the two are sort of uttered in the same breath as like being equals. I think if you actually look into the story, Remus did nothing wrong, and Romulus is an absolute bastard. Welcome to the History of this podcast. I'm Alex. I'm just trying to work out where to actually start the story. I did a little bit of a prologue just to basically skip through the Aeneid, which I'd like to do an episode on one day because I haven't gone back and listened to the Aeneid on audiobook. It's absolutely batshit insane. It's like the Odyssey turned up to 11.
Yeah.
After a 10 year plus siege, against the United Greek forces
At Troy.
Or a week if you've just seen the 2004 movie. The Trojans fell for the classic, tried and true Trojan horse trick.
Well, it wasn't classic tried and true then, was it?
Well, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. The city was breached and sacked by the Greeks. Aeneas, inspired by a vision by a recently deceased character of the story and famous Australian actor, Eric Bana.
Yeah.
He led his family, father, son, and wife, and some other survivors of the fallen city into the mountains, built some ships, somehow.
Maybe went down the rivers or something.
Yeah, and they escaped Asia Minor and sailed to Italy. Yeah, and his wife died along the way.
Yeah.
Which
She just didn't have what it takes to make the journey.
she just didn't quite hack it.
No.
Which is great because he has half a dozen marriage proposals and stuff on the way. And I think in the Aeneid, it mentions, he goes, Aeneas, he's promised himself to this lady. And then in the middle of the night, he's just had a chat with one of the gods. They're like, no, you need to keep moving. You know, your destiny's in Italy. You can't just stop here and, you know, with this woman. And anyway, he leaves a sword behind. Yeah. And when she wakes up and sees all the ships on the horizon, and she realizes at that point she's, you know, her fiance's done a runner. And so she's like,
It was good of him to leave the sword behind.
Yeah.
It's very much like the vibe of, you know, they just leave the gun on the table.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to kill you, but you make the right choice.
You just hear a bang from a closed door. But I mean, I was going to go into this, but like I think he ends up needing to go into the underworld, and no one's ever returned. And you know, he's looking for a sign, and you know that he would return if he did venture down there. And you know, there's like a loose branch that he's just like, oh, and this branch has come off, and that shows he's like, okay, that's all the proof I need that I can return from the underworld.
Right.
And when he's in the underworld, his wife's like, you did this to me, or fiance.
Yeah.
And he sort of is like, look, I'm sorry, love.
Yeah. He's like, essentially, you're right, but
yeah, totally.
I got to get to Italy.
That's exactly right. He often goes again, you know. They arrived in Italy. And Aeneas sent emissaries to the local ruler, King Latinus, of the Latins. And
yeah. Definitely not made up.
Flashing on the screen actually happened. Seeking a peaceful settlement and a possible alliance. King Latinus responded by saying, sure thing, mate, no worries. This fulfills a prophecy I had anyway. So here's my daughter, Lavina, to marry, and sorry, your other wife just died.
I wonder if the Italians would have, or if King Latinus, being a Latin or Italian, would have classed this as the first barbarian invasion.
Just non-Italians. This got up the nose of a local king, Tyrannus, because he was always already promised to the princess. everyone got really fizzed up and had a few battles about this.
Yeah.
Culminating in a one-on-one battle between Aeneas and Tyrannus, with the result being Tyrannus got fucking smoked.
Mm.
You know, because they're there and they're having their battle, and he's there. Gets the upper hand on Tyrannus, and Tyrannus is like, "Oh, okay, you bested me, but gotta spare me." It's it's the Greek thing to do. We had a good fight, and Aeneas is like, "Yeah, you're right." And at that moment, he sort of notices that like his best mate's belt was sort of around Tyrannus's waist, and because Tyrannus had bested him, taken it as a trophy, and Aeneas just goes, "You know what? Change my mind."
That's a bit below the belt.
Well, very Roman though. It's like, you forced my hand, and what comes next is your fault.
Yeah.
After the war, Aeneas founded a city which he named Latvium, in honor of his new wife, and as the first home for the combined Trojan and Latin. Achaeus, or son of Aeneas, then wandered off to start his own city a little bit down the road from Latvium and called it Alba Longa, which would become the mother city of Rome and the ruling power of the Latin League for centuries to come. Fuck you, Dad. I'm starting my own city. Something I love about ancient stories. It's just like people are just wandering down the road and starting cities left and right. It's like Alexander, when he wasn't fighting, he's like, yeah, there's going to be a city over there, and there's going to be a city over there. And it's like, oh, yeah, what are you going to call this one? It's like, Alexandria. It's like, okay, no worries. Don't tell me. Alexandria. So a few centuries later, in the city of Alba Longa, so we'll jump ahead a bit of time now.
Yeah.
Right? Some Game of Thrones politicking and fuckery was going on. Romulus successfully fucked over his older brother, King Numitor, which is a sick name. Oh, Numitor. Imprisoned him, taking the crown for himself. Killed all of his nephews, imprisoned his niece. Classic Machiavellian. You're like, not putting up with any of this.
Yeah.
Forced his niece to become a Vestal Virgin, swearing her to a life of chastity so she wouldn't produce future heirs that could challenge him.
Mm-hmm.
Then something amazing happened. That definitely happened. For 100% realsies.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Mars, the actual god of war, came down, made love with the Vestal Virgin.
Certainly can't be doing that.
It certainly wasn't a rape by the cheeky uncle, like some people. And it's obviously Mars.
Yeah.
I think. Because if Aeneas' mother was Venus, and you already accept that to be true, a couple of hundred years later, Mars coming down and...
Yeah.
And
I suppose if you're, the god of war, the rules surrounding Vestal Virgins don't really apply. You can just sidestep them.
Well, I mean, like, what are you going to do? It's like, what are you going to do? Call Jupiter? I don't think you got a direct line, buddy. Where's your paternity test? Prove it. The new king, Amaleus, wasn't stoked about this at all, and immediately ordered a servant to toss the young lads in the River Tiber.
So the children of Mars and this Vestal Virgin. Yeah. So presumably, like 9 months later, he was like,
"Yeah, it's a bit compressed, but she's just come out one day, 9 months pregnant. Like, don't know how this happened.
Mars got me.
Yeah, here I was doing the dishes, and then
Is this a little bit like say the virgin birth in the Christian story, where Joseph and Mary are there, and Mary's like, "Oh, I'm pregnant. God did it."
Hey.
Maybe God was not happy about that comment, but
my favourite bit, actually, a bit of a sidestep, just going through the beginning of the New Testament again a couple of months ago. You've got Joseph walks outside, and a couple of angels come down, and they're like, "You're not going to believe what's just happened." And he comes back and goes, "You know what? I'm sticking with you, honey. Don't worry. I've already got word from up high.
Didn't he? Because Jesus had a brother, a half brother, technically.
Controversially, but
Joseph and Mary. So Joseph he got there in the end. So that's good. Good on him.
Oh, it's like everyone else in the town's just cucking him. However, instead of drowning the sons of Mars, the servant was like, look, I got a spare basket. I'm just going to, it's that ancient sort of motif of the sort of like,
get rid of the baby. It's
like a conscious deniability thing where you're like, well, I didn't kill them, but technically it's up to the gods now. It's like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
It might go die of exposure, but you know what? I didn't do the deed.
I didn't do it, but I might as well
have. Going on the table and walk out of the room. The basket eventually washed up next to a magical fig tree at the bottom of the Palatine. And
which is a hill in Rome.
Correct. Correct. At that moment, a she-wolf found the twins and took them to a nearby cave where she resided and nursed them with her teats.
Oh. Bit of a spoiler, but that's a famous Roman
bit of iconography,
image. Yeah, or statue. There's the wolf and the two babies.
How's it go? A woodpecker also helped feed them by bringing them food, which is both lucky for the brothers and pretty cool.
And very kind of the woodpecker.
Obviously had nothing else going on. He saw the brothers with the she-wolf and he was like, you know what, I can probably bring some fibre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make it a bit easier for him.
Yeah, I'll bring a couple of worms.
Yeah.
That I've got out of the tree. Do you reckon when they grow up, they return back to civilization, whatever, and you're like, here's some nice beef that we've cooked. And like, what is this? Where's the worms?
Give us some worms. I want wolf's milk and insects. A royal shepherd named Faustulus discovered the boys being fed and suckled by the helpful wolf and woodpecker team.
Yeah.
He and his wife then decided to raise them as their own sons. So, thanks, guys, but
that follows. Yeah,
we're taking over now. An unknown amount of time passes, and the brothers grow up to be natural-born leaders.
Of course.
They're basically fucking great at everything, and they have the respect and admiration from everyone in the community.
Yeah.
Just like, oh man, I'm having trouble doing this thing, and Romulus and Remus is like, don't worry,
I'll do it.
I'll give you a hand. And they're like, oh man, that guy is so good, such a cool guy. And yeah, just a dynamic duo and just bopping around, growing up and teenage years into young adulthood, just sort of fixing everyone's problems.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Remus gets arrested by King Amulaeus. And I'm not sure exactly if he knows who Remus is. Because Remus and that don't even know. They just hang around with a bunch of shepherds and just sort of living that rural lifestyle. And I guess the divine heritage comes out, and Romulus sort of gets a team of his boys together, a bunch of rogues and other shepherds and people that they grew up with, and so he assaults Alba Longa, and I think Remus has a bit of an uprising from inside, and they knock their uncle off the throne, and they free their other uncle, I guess, because it's their dad's Mars. So and now the Alba Longa's sort of been set right. The correct king's in place, and they're like, oh, are you gonna you're going to take over now. And Romulus and Remus are like, no, our destiny is greater than just dethroning our uncle, just to dethrone our uncle. You know, we're going to go down the road and we're going to start our own city.
We're going to build some mud huts.
pretty much. So they Romulus and Remus, you know, they're setting out. They know of their divine heritage now, and they wanted a little bit down the road to start the city. Yeah. Anyway, so Romulus is like, well, we should start our city on top of the Palatine Hill because that's where our basket ended up.
Yeah, makes sense.
Remus says, look, I get what you say. I get it. But here's an idea. Instead of the Palatine, let's put it on the Aventine, which was right next to it. It's like, I think it's a better spot. It's a better bit of real estate. The brothers couldn't reconcile this. They were just bickering about it, and you know, they approach an oracle, and they're, look, like, we can't sort this out. It's really tearing the family up. All our boys are sort of taking sides now. You know, how do we resolve this problem? And the oracle lady's like, bird signs. You know,
of course.
yeah, which is a very Roman sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so the brothers are like,
I think the Romans used to, you know, they'd make fun or they'd laugh and snicker at, like, you know, like these Celtic druids and stuff, and like you know, look at these guys in all their superstitions. But then they're like, let's see what the birds have to say.
Yeah. So look at these guys over there, you know, checking out the bones. You know,
let's cut open a goat and see what. Oh, yep, let's.
Savages. So anyway, they go out there, and you know, Romulus is sitting on the Aventine. He's counting the birds, and you know, at the end of the day, Romulus comes down and talks to everyone. He's like, I counted 6 birds, or 6 eagles, or vultures, right? And as such, Aventine it is. At that point, Romulus goes, oh, well, you saw 6 birds. Well, I saw 12. And there was a bunch of serpents as well. Sort of popped out of the river and went. And everyone's gone, yeah, well, 12 is a bigger number. I don't know about you, but I think Romulus is full of shit. I think he waited for his brother, honourable Remus.
Like, you go first, Remus.
Yeah. He's just like, well, I saw twice as many. So what are you going to do about it? And so, you know.
How did Remus take that?
He was fizzed up.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much you could do about it because, you know, I think everyone got really excited, especially, you know, with Romulus's supporters mentioning that a couple of serpents popped out of the river and went, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the wind wasn't any, you know, it just wasn't in his favour. So over the next couple of weeks or months, you know, Romulus and his boys, I suppose Remus's boys as well, they start building up what I imagine would just be like a palisade sort of fort on top of the Palatine.
Mm.
And, you know, Remus is just chewing on this the whole time, like, you son of a bitch. And he's going to call it Rome.
Should have been me.
Should have been me. So Remus, you know, wanders up and he jumps over the unfinished wall that they're erecting around their little fort.
Yeah. And
he's like, your walls are shit. Not stopping anyone. Look, whoop. Like, I'm in your city. I'm not in your city. Look, haha, you know. And that's a big no-no in the ancient world. Like, there's a sacredness to do with city walls. And I mean, even without adding that detail, Romulus had just fucking had enough. It's just like, no, you're shitting on my walls. We're trying really hard. You lost fair and square. You didn't have enough birds.
Knifed him.
Yeah. So Romulus killed Remus. Poor honourable Remus. He was just sort of geeing his
He was
brother
just flaunting sacred traditions.
up. Just a little bit of, brotherly rivalry.
I'm on Team Romulus here.
Oh, me too.
If you're gonna jump all around over the walls of a city, the unfinished walls of a city.
So you're not even giving it a fair crack. You just
It's not even fair. They were not finished. It basically has just climbed up a dirt hill and then
just
run down the other side.
yeah. Just like, what are you going to do? And there's I think it's fratricide. Brothers, yeah, that's a big no.
Yeah.
But Romulus and his boys had enough. They're like, no. So Remus got, stabbed up, fratulous, or
Did he get chucked in the Tiber?
yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think they had all the proper burial rites and stuff at the time, but I don't think Remus cares at this point. He's been turned into a pincushion, and
Yeah.
their stepdad, the shepherd that raised them, Fatulus. Anyway, he came out and was like, "Oh no, what are you doing?" And he got stabbed up as well. He's my son, my boy.
It's like, what are you doing, Romulus? And Romulus is like, well, I've got the taste for it now.
It's like, the first one's always the hardest. And I think a bunch of his supporters sort of got stabbed up, but I think everyone sort of got the message. They're like, down with Romulus, or down with Remus,
Yeah.
up with Romulus. Like, here we go. So now it's just Romulus' show.
Yep. He's
Right.
the king.
And more time goes, and they've sort of like building their little town up, and they're sort of attracting all like the outlaws and brigands and sort of all the rough kind of people that none of the other Latin tribes nearby really wanted anything to do with.
Yeah.
Right? It's just sort of a very angry rugby team sitting at the top of a hill, right?
It's like Australia. They're just a bunch of convicts.
Pretty much. But they run into a bit of a problem. Bit hard to grow a city without any women.
Yep. It does. It does limit the population growth.
It's just after a couple of months of just blasting each other in the ass and no pregnancies. You're like, you know what? Let's not reinvent the wheel here. We're going to have to find ourselves some girls.
Yeah.
He sent word to all the local tribes, being like, hey, this is the project we're doing. I'm the son of a god.
So, what more do you need?
This is what we're doing. This is where we are. How about you
send women?
How about you send us some of your women, and you can be a part of this great project.
Yeah. I'm guessing not many people took him up on that.
Yeah, no one did. If anything, more blokes turned up. Great Romulus. Honourable Romulus.
Yeah. Wise
Romulus.
Romulus, yeah.
I mean, as far as he's like, well, I did ask you. You've kind of forced my hand. So Romulus invites one of the local Sabine tribes up for dinner.
Yeah.
And say, hey, check it out. These are our really great walls, the best walls. Check the Palatine. It's like, that dickhead, one of the Aventine, what an idiot, Anyway, thank you for coming. We're having a great meal. And, the Sabines are like, yeah, this is sick. You're not having our women. But thanks.
I like the walls.
Yeah, you've done really great walls. At that point, Romulus, I think he adjusts his toga, or does a little signal, pulls a bit of a cheeky red wedding sort of scenario.
Yeah.
All his boys sort of jump out and kill all the Sabine men and keep all the Sabine women.
Romulus.
It's the event that's become known as the rape of the Sabines.
Yeah.
But I think the Latin term is more the seizing of the Sabines. Fun little detail. there's the tradition of like, when you're married, to carry your wife through the threshold of the door when you after the service and that. Apparently that goes back to the seizing of the Sabines,
Right.
which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Horrific, but it's like, I got you now.
Look at my walls.
Yeah, check out my great walls.
Is that a euphemism?
So yeah, the problem was solved. They had lots of women now. As you can imagine, this really fizzed everybody up because there were multiple tribes of Sabines and stuff nearby.
Yeah.
Sort of were under one king, but they weren't happy with what happened. So the king of the Sabines, in an effort to rescue his women, challenged Romulus to one-on-one combat.
Yep. The best way to settle anything.
Absolutely. And Romulus absolutely smoked him. And in doing so, demonstrated that the seizure of the women was actually just the will of the gods, and he didn't do anything wrong. Because otherwise, why would he have won that fight?
Yeah, I mean, if the gods didn't want him, if they wanted to reverse that, then he would have lost.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a bit of like divine command theory, really.
Pretty much.
It's like the gods essentially, they've rubber stamped it. So the whole seizing of the women, he did nothing wrong.
Well, if it was up in the air, it's been settled now.
Yeah.
After which, Romulus had the first triumph
Right.
of in Roman history.
So he was basically walking through like mud huts and
Pretty much. They sort of carry him on a really shitty chair through the muddy street, and he's got not a diadem, but just a laurel, couple of flowers behind his ear, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm the best," and everyone's like, "Yeah, you're the best." He's also, I think, one of only 2 or 3 Roman leaders who ever do a one-on-one combat. Because as you can imagine, it's not very practical. It's a dice up in the air kind of.
yeah.
You don't really want to leave it to a 50-50.
And if you're a Roman leader, the whole point of getting into these conflicts is that you can, win or lose, get to the other side.
Yeah. The Sabine tribes, getting pretty sick of this. They gathered up an army to come and, kick the teeth out of this fort of brigands.
Despite it being rubber stamped by the gods.
Despite it being rubber stamped. They're like, yeah, no. We'll throw the chips high in the air again and we'll see what happens.
Double or nothing.
And in the night, a Sabine woman named Tarpeian, famously from Tarpeian Rock fame, which is actually where they named it, this bitch opened up the city gates in the middle of the night and let these angry Sabine fathers and brothers of...
Essentially, they're rescuers.
Yeah. The good guys of the story. And, so the Romans and the Sabines fought in the streets of this city. And it sort of makes it sound like there's quite a few thousand on either side at this point. And, so they're fighting all through the night quite brutally, and eventually, when it's looking real bad for the Romans, but eventually the women, the stolen women, all barefoot and pregnant, come out and they're like, "Stop, don't kill our new husbands. And, we don't want our new husbands to kill our brothers and fathers. I think we can all just get along." And the Sabines and the Romans sort of looked at each other and they're like, "Yeah, all right."
So they left it. They could have timed it better.
The battle's been going on all night and they're just like, "Stop."
Maybe they're having a nap or something for the first.
Yeah, or just cooking up a feed.
Yeah.
Our husbands are going to be quite hungry after all that fighting. Yeah, so everyone looks around and they're like, "Yeah, no beef. It's cool. Squash that beef." Romulus and the new king of the Sabines decide to join their nations and, be joint kings, which is nice. So Rome's got 2 kings. However, the king of the Sabines dies shortly afterwards due to mysterious circumstances, leaving Romulus as the sole ruler.
Well, we already know Romulus he's got the taste for blood.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not above killing his own brother and his stepdad.
And everyone else has looked at him sideways.
So, yeah, to be...
His dinner guests.
Yeah, if you were being generous there, you'd say it's highly suspicious.
Well, if Mars is your dad, I mean, what are you going to do?
So the king's died.
The king's died.
King number two's died.
He's now the sole ruler. Their population's basically doubled because you've got all the Sabine tribes in now. King Romulus sets up the first senators and, basically puts in the royal elite and the government structure. So the people who've been with him the longest sort of makes them the elite. They become sort of like the famous family names, and senators, it's basically the old man class. It's not a democracy, but it's just the general day-to-day governance he sort of sets up. Over the next few years, Romulus leads many wars of expansion against their Italian neighbours, apparently killing thousands of people himself.
Oh, well.
And he gets another triumph.
Yeah, he really escalated.
Over the years, he gains an even more absurd amount of confidence about his divine right to rule, becoming a bit of a cruel despot. Like, you'd have his personal guard. They'd walk around with shackles and chains on them, just so he could be like, that one, that guy looked at me funny, and they can just sort of chain him up and drag him off no.
Yeah.
And this sort of gets up the nose of people a little bit, but his guys will come in to talk to him and be like, hey, so this is going on, this is happening, whatever. It's not even sitting up. He's just sort of Mary's sitting back in his chair,
just lounging around.
Yeah, he's just not giving them the time of day and
eating a plate of grapes or something.
Just very lethargic, and you can imagine his boys being like, you can do that to everyone else, Romulus, but we're your evil henchmen. Don't forget who, put you there. But, and after a while, it's the senators and the day-to-day governance, they start doing less and less because it's sort of all by, he's a tyrannical despot. He's like, no, your wife is now my wife. Or kill him. And, the senators and stuff, they just stop coming into work. They're like, it's all right. He's going to be in the Senate by himself today, but barking orders, and it's probably for the best. And so he's got a bit of a secret police sort of thing going,
like a Gestapo. Got some black shirts running around.
He'd be like, "Oh, did you hear someone said blah blah?" And you just got spies everywhere. It's just 4:00 in the morning. KGB knock on the door and just sort of disappears you. Gets tossed off the the Tiber's rock or into the Tiber. One day, like any other, Romulus is sort of standing in his in a public forum, just sort of giving a bit of a lecture about I imagine he's just ranting like a lunatic. Just telling the way people, the way things are, and this is the way the universe is orientated, and no, you can't wear that. He's just sort of giving his opinion on all things. And a big storm rolls through.
Yeah, ominous.
In the Mediterranean, it's just sort of bang. So it comes out of nowhere.
Other storm clouds of political change gathering.
Ooh. So it's like Neptune's. So everyone's like, oh shit, and everyone runs indoors, right? Including Romulus. And this storm goes on for an hour or so, and everyone's kind of all huddled up, like, oh no, hope this clears up soon. Anyway, the storm it rolls through, and everyone sort of comes back out, and Romulus is nowhere to be found. Everyone's sort of looking for him, and the senators, sort of like the aristocracy sort of class, they sort of wander out, and they're like, "There's no point looking for him because you're not going to find him. He's been taken by the gods."
Right. Okay.
The gods came down,
Picked him up.
plucked him from earth, and took him to heaven. You can look for him. You're not going to find him.
Right.
But by all means, pray in his memory. But he's done.
Yeah.
The story's over, and don't worry about it. Basically, don't spend too much time thinking about it.
So the gods took him away, possibly by just lifting him to heaven, or possibly by, being chucked in the Tiber.
Yeah, there's there's a couple of, obviously, the most likely theory is that the gods deemed he was too great to dwell amongst mortals any longer, and took him home. Some other people believe that his aristocratic sort of people, or the Senate and that, kind of got sick of him.
Yeah. So they acted on the gods' behalf.
Yeah, and they it's like everyone sort of cut him to pieces.
Yeah.
And like everyone sort of like walked out of the room carrying a little part of him.
So they all had a hand in it.
Everyone had a bit of a hand in it. It's like our mates walked out with a toe. You tucked in their toga. He's got a couple of fingers.
Don't look for him.
Everyone's just tossed him into the river. Like a stone, he will simply disappear. Oh, mate, the tyrant, the despot.
The founder of Rome.
Founder of Rome. It's such an awful story, though.
I was just going to say, virtually every character is terrible. They all, like, I'm just trying to think of one virtuous character in that whole story.
Maybe the shepherd that took them in.
Yeah, maybe. Like
Maybe.
The she-wolf.
She-wolf's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But like, it's not a nice story.
Everyone's like backstabbing and betraying, and
it's the origin to an evil empire,
Yeah.
literally. And
because it was basically written as like a foundation story for the Romans, right? Whether it existed before it was written down, and because it was Virgil, right, and whether he just sort of like adapted the story that was already there, or if he just made it, I'm not too sure.
Well, the Aeneid stuff and the connection to Troy, I would say that's not probably correct. One, because it rips on the Odyssey pretty hard. But also there's a part in the Aeneid where Aeneas gets gifted a shield that has these inscriptions of future glory in battles, like in the line, and they reference Rome, and of your line the height of civilization will be produced, and it shows Caesar's victory over Pompey, Magnus, and there's a few other things like that, which is like, okay, this was obviously written in very early emperor.
But what I'm saying is whether there was like already a story of Romulus and Remus.
Well, yes. So in a lot of the Republic time, you still have the iconography of the she-wolf and the two boys.
Right.
Yeah. So
it maybe existed, and he just sort of adapted it.
Yeah.
But either way, it's like a, because if it's like a foundation story, it kind of says something about, you wouldn't have a foundation story that's just like the polar opposite of what the people are like. So, I don't know. It seems like they were pretty horrible.
Well, even like, I can't remember which book it is, but it's like Tom Holland starts with, it's like, in the history of Rome starts with a rape.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the other things I heard is like, maybe, and like I think the Athenians. I can't even say it, but they a lot of those other sort of Greek city origin stories. There's a lot of virtue. Sort of, it's not, like they're not great, but there is virtuous characters. Whereas maybe Rome's approach is more like an MS-13, kind of like a, you want to have the most fucked up, like scary gang story possible. So other people, when they go to Rome or wherever, and they hear the tale of how this great civilization started, they're like, oh man, a bunch of psychos. Don't want to mess with them.
Yeah, maybe it's like a, because like the Athenian origin story is like, like Athena tapping on a rock, and then water sort of flows out of the Acropolis or whatever, and it's like, yeah, see, I did it, and the city's here or whatever. But the Romans like, no, we killed a bunch of people and raped a bunch of people to found our city.
Well, and it rubs the nose in, because like for hundreds of years after that, like Rome's just like smashing the other sort of Italian tribes and taking the Sabines and in early on, but even down in the Republic time, like you've got like Romans, but just because you're an Italian doesn't mean you're a Roman citizen.
Yeah.
So but the Roman story, even hundreds of years after the fact, is still like an FU to all the other Italian. It's like, yeah, we're so great, and this is where we came from, kicking your ass, stupid Latins. But yeah, Romulus and Remus.
It's a fun story.
Remus did nothing wrong, and Romulus is a bit of a dick.
Remus did do something wrong. He climbed over the sacred walls, man. That wasn't finished. Can't be doing that.
But
other than that, I don't... Actually, maybe Remus is the other virtue. I don't think he did anything wrong. He got stiffed in the oracle debate.
It's like honest Remus comes out and he goes, look, there are 6 birds, right? He didn't say, I saw 200 birds. He was like a very, very honest and believable.
Yeah.
6 birds. And then Romulus has come in and gone, yeah, well, I saw twice as many. So, and there were serpents. What are you going to do? And there's no retort to that.
Yep. So Remus is basically the hero of the story.
He got Cain and Abel.
Yeah.